Hi guys, hope you're keeping well. Um, so today we're going to be working with money, and it is similar enough to weight and to capacity as well. Sorry. So when we were doing capacity and weight, we had 1 liter, or we had 1 kilogram was equal to 1,000 grams, or 1,000 milliliters. But here we have €1 is equal to 100 cent, and we were 2 zeros here. And I know most of us would know this already, but it's good to keep repeating this so that you can, because all of these follow the same format. So there are 2 zeros in 100, so that means there are 2 decimal places, alright? Because, and the reason for this, it's probably easier to understand with money more than anything. If you had 99 cent, you would not have reached €1 yet. So if you reached 99 cent, you wouldn't have reached €1 yet, but you can't fit a third one in here. So we know if we got 1 cent extra, so if we added 1 cent, then we would have to put in our decimal point, because we have reached the maximum amount that we can put on the cent side. All right. Don't worry about this. This is just second nature to most of us, but I just felt it was worth just mentioning. All right. So we're going to work with addition, subtraction, multiplication and division, and that is pretty much that will cover everything that you need to know for this week. There is some things that I will be doing towards the end, which is more focused towards 6th class, but definitely no harm for 5th class to tune in. Likewise, some of the stuff that I'll be going through at the beginning, 6th class, you might have covered some of this last year, and you mightn't have to do it in your books or in your copy, but it's no harm to recap and revisit things and just refresh your memory and make sure that you're okay with it. All right, so for this, I've just picked 3 random things that you could buy in the shop. So this is very similar to what 5th class will be doing today. All right. So what you might be asked is, so what we will say is that Joe went to the shop and he bought one of each of these. So it's easy enough now when they say that there is one of each of them. And how much did Joe spend? All right. So all we have to do is we need to put these in a line, and we need to add them up. But the important thing, like I'm always drilling now with milliliters and liters, grams and kilograms, for anything that uses a decimal point, it's so important that we keep them in line. Okay. Use the columns of your copy to keep them in line, and even leave a gap for the decimal points so that you know exactly where you're putting everything. Alright, so I'm just going to add them up here. So we bought 1 coat, 1 pair of socks and 1 scarf. So we've our 12.47, 2.95, 7.48. Okay. Now see the way I have the decimal points nicely in line. I have our tens and our hundreds under our cents in line, and the same. Our units and our tens are here in line as well. Okay. So 7 and 8 is 15, plus 5 is 20. 2 and 4 is 6, plus 9 is 15, plus 4 is 19. Now we've reached our decimal points, we'll put it down. 7 and 1 is 8, 2 is 10, 2 is 12, 1 and 1 is 2. Okay, and that's our answer. Alright, so that is as easy as it will come for us, but where it gets a little bit more difficult is where they say that somebody might have went and bought 3 coats, 2 pairs of socks, and 2 scarves. So we'll actually try that one. So I said 3 coats, and I'm just writing this 2 pairs of socks. Okay, just remember. So I said we wanted to buy 3 coats, 2 socks, or 2 pairs of socks, and 2 scarves. Alright, so this is now working on multiplication. Now again, important that we keep everything in line. Not so much with multiplication, it's the same way as you're used to it, but the important thing is when you're writing out your answer to make sure that you have 2 decimal places. Alright, now this is going to take up a lot of room in your copy because you're going to have to do several sums just to get one answer. Alright, so we have our quote first of all, 12.47. We're going to multiply that by 3. Okay, 3 sevens are 21. 3 fours are 12 plus 2 is 14. Decimal point. 3 twos are 6 plus 1 is 7. And 3 ones are 3. Okay, that's for our coat. Our socks then, we have 2.95 multiplied by 2. 5 twos are 10. 2 nines are 18 and 1 is 19. We reach our 2 spaces. 2 twos are 4 plus 1 is 5. Okay, that's our socks, and last is our scarf, alright? Now I know this looks kind of cramped here, but I just don't have as much room as you will. But I'll rub these out then when I have my 3 answers and we'll add them up. Alright, next our scarf, we want 2 of them. 7.48 multiplied by 2. Okay, 2 eights are 16. 2 fours are 8 and 1 is 9. We reach our 2 spaces. 2 sevens are 14. Okay. So we have our 3 answers now. We have our scarf, we have our socks, and we have our coats. Now what we need to do is I'll actually add them up over here just to make sure that we see how to transfer them. Okay, so it's the answers only now. So don't worry about the rest of it. Just make sure, and even if you want to, you can get your red biro and put a square around them when you've done each one, just to make sure that you're using the right number. All right. So we've 37.41, 5.90, and 14.96. Now see the way that I'm keeping it. I'm writing it nice and big. I'm keeping everything in line. My decimal points are down a straight line. Everything is aligned correctly under each other, as it should be. Alright, then just a line under it. Okay, 1 and 6 is 7. 9 and 9 is 18. 4 is 22. We've reached 2 places. 2 and 4 is 6. Plus 5 is 11. Plus 7 is 18. 3 and 1 is 4. Plus 1 is 5. So this is our total answer then. That's how much it cost us to buy our 3 coats, 2 pairs of socks, and 2 scarves. Alright? Now what you might be asked is that you went to the shop with €70. So you had €70 and they want to know how much do you have left. Alright, so you had €70 going to the shop and you spent, and I like to write things out like this as well. You'll see it when I'm writing my answers if you get something wrong. I like to write everything out just to make sure that it's all there, less chance of making a mistake again. Alright. This is how much we spent, 58.27 spent, and label them all just so that, again, always minimize the chance of making a mistake. It's fine if you make a mistake, that's how we learn, but you want to minimize that chance all the time. Alright, so to do this then, we take them away, alright? So we have €70, so we have our 70, and we need to put in our decimal place. And we have 2 spaces because of our 2 zeros. Okay, we're taking away our 58.27. Okay, So 0 takes 7 we can't do, we'll have to come all the way over here and keep regrouping. Okay, so 10 take away 7 is 3, 9 take away 2 is 7, 9 take away 8 is 1, and 6 take away 5 is 1. So that is then our change. Alright. So now we've already covered addition, multiplication, and subtraction, and I think that you will be okay with this. I think that everyone has a good handle on this, and if you don't, again, just pop me an email. Alright, I'm just going to set up a division one now, just to make sure that we can work on this, because division is probably as hard as you will do in this section, but again, if you just get the steps, keep working the step by step like we're doing here, and all it's about then is repetition. Once you can do it once, then you can do it with any number. Alright? Okay, so we have our question here. So the club lotto jackpot was €2,289.84. There were 58 winners. How much did each person get? So again, forget about all the jargon around it. So forget about the club lotto jackpot, all that. Once you've read it once and you understand what's needed. So the jackpot is this, okay? And this is where it'll be no harm to write it out in plain terms for yourself. And you'll always see that I do this when I'm doing the corrections, because it just takes all the English jargon out of it. Alright, that's the jackpot. 58 winners. We want to find out how much each got. Now the way that we find out, then there was 58 winners into here, so we have to divide our jackpot by the amount of winners. Alright, so it's a long division. I'll do it over here actually, just because there's more room. So 58 2289.84. Now, I know some people didn't like this, and that's why I sort of didn't do it for the last few, but I'm just going to do the T way that I like to do when we're talking in school. I know some people liked using it, some people didn't, but it just gives you a basis for your multiplication. Alright, so we do our 58 times 1, it's 58, and 58 times 2. Now these only work if you can sort of do them in your head, or you can work them on the sides, and it will give you a better idea of how close to go then when you're guessing how many times a number will go into each area. So 58 multiplied by 2 will be 116. 58 multiplied by 10, we just add our 0, and then we know that 58 multiplied by 5 is half of this, so 290. Okay, that's just there to help me. You don't have to use it, but I just find it useful for when you're dividing in a number. And you'll see now, actually, the very first number that I try to divide in here, I'll have a better idea of what number to multiply by. Alright, so 58 into 2 will not go. And I'm always a fan of putting up zeros as well to cancel out everything, make sure that you keep everything right. 58 into 22 won't go. 58 into 228 will go. Now I go over here, I know 5 would be too much. I know if I take off 50, so maybe 4 times, if I take off 50 I'll be at about 40 actually, 240, so I'll guess 3 times, okay? So, to find out what 58 multiplied by 3 is, do it here. 3 8s are 24. 3 5s are 15. And 2 is 17. 174. I would just multiply it by 4 as well. 174. I'm just going to multiply it by 4 just to see in case. Alright. 8 4s is 32. 4 5 is 20. 3 is 23. No, just too big. Okay, but I still have it here for again if I do need it. 58 multiplied by 4 is 2, 3, 2. This is really handy if you're finding long division hard as well. Because you have all the things you don't, it's one less thing to worry about when you're working through this. Okay, so 58 goes in 3 times, and then we have 174. Okay, take that away. 8 minus 4 is 4. So that is 5. Okay, 54, bring down our 9. Okay, so 58 into 400 or 549. I know 10 times would be 580, so I would think 9 times would be about right. So 58 multiplied by 9. 9 8s are 72. 9 5s are 45. Plus 7 is 52. 522. Okay, and I'll put that down here. 9, 2, 2. Okay. So 9 times 5, 2, 2. Take it away. 9 take away 2 is 7. 4 take away 2 is 2. 5 take away 5 is 0. Okay. Now, decimal point, when you come across it, you put it up. Okay. Bring down our 8. 58 into 278. Well, 58 times 5 is 290. So I would say times 4. Do I have that done? I do. 58 times 4 is 232. Okay, so it's 4. 2, 3, 2. Take it away. 8 take away 2 is 6, 0. Okay. Bring down our last number then, or 4. Then 58 into 464. 9 times is this. 8 times, so I have 7. 5, 6, 4. They're about 50 to 60 away from each other. So I'll guess 8 times and see. So 58 times 8. 8 eighths is 16, 32, 64. 8 fives is 40 plus 6 is 46. 46, so 8. Alright, so 8 times, and we have 4, 6, 4 at the end. 0, 0, 0. So our answer here is each person. I worked right again, out again. Yeah. Each person receives €39 and 48 cents. All right. I hope that's okay. Can you see there at the light? This tea, I find it useful. Some people think it makes them more confused, and if it does, do it whatever way you're comfortable with them, whatever way you were doing it up to now. But that's the basis. Dividing, long division is just like you do any long division. The important thing is to remember is our decimal point. Make sure that it always goes up at the right time. So as soon as you're putting down that 8 there, you should be putting up the decimal point before you even get to it, because you see that you're jumping over a decimal point. It can't be done unless you put it up. Alright? Okay. I think there's only one more thing to cover, currency exchange. I'll just check and make sure, but I'm going to go through currency exchange. This is in the 6th class book, but definitely no harm for 5th class to tune in and and pick up a few things. It's also helpful when multiplying decimals together. All right. Okay, so we have our currency exchange chart over here. All right. So currency exchange chart tells us that in sterling, so in Great Britain, the exchange rate is 0.79. So for every €1 you have, you will get 79p. All right. US dollars, the exchange rate is 1.12. So every €1 that you have, you will get €1.12. Okay, and the yen, the Japanese yen, the exchange rate is 120. So for every €1 you have, you will get 120 yen. Now it's numbers like this that make you think where the decimal points are. You might just throw in one because you think that it looks normal. Make sure that you read thoroughly the questions, the figures in the questions specifically, all right? Because that's where you could just make slip-ups, and it's not because that you're not able to do the sum, it's because you're not transferring the information properly sometimes, all right? So that's what I find anyway, and that's where I always made mistakes. So that's why I got into such a good habit of writing everything out clearly for myself so that I could see it there. It was very basic for me, and then I was able to transfer it. All right. So to transfer into euro, you multiply. All right. So I just have two charts here done. So we want to exchange €10 for into each of these currencies, and €250 into each of these currencies. All right. So we'll start with the €10, and I'm always a fan of putting the smallest number in the bottom. All right. When I say the smallest now, I mean the one without any decimal points or the least amount of digits, not actually the smallest number. But so I'm going to put the 10 in the bottom because it makes it a bit easier. Okay. So I know for every €1, I get 0.79, and then I'm going to multiply that by 10. Now, I'm going to do this out here, but I'm sure most of us know by now that to multiply a decimal by 10, you just jump the decimal one place. If you're multiplying by 100, you jump 2 places. You can do that, that's fine, but I'm just going to work through the multiplications. Okay, 900, 700, 000. Okay. I'm actually always saying as well, forget about the decimal point until the very end, until your answer, all right? And I'll show you why now in a minute. Okay, 1 multiplied by 9 is 9, 1 7 is 7, 1 0 is 0. Add them up. 0, 9, 7, 0. So we had 2 decimal places in our question. We had none down here. We had 2 here. So we need 2 decimal places in our answer. So our answer is €7. Sorry, £7.90. So for every €10 that you have, you will now get £7.90. All right. Okay. Next one. I know you'll be able to do the tens, but okay. We have our dollars. 1.12 multiplied by 10. 200, 00, 0, 0. 2 is 2, 1 is 1. Oh, I made a mistake there. That's me rushing now. Forgot to put down my 0. 1, 2 is 2, 1, 1 is 1, 1, 1 is 1. Okay. Add them up. 2 decimal places in our question, 2 in our answer. Now I know some of the people, when we're doing the entrance test for the Prez, you would have done some of these as well. So so you're probably all right with them actually. But just no, actually this one no. 120 multiplied by 10. We know now. We don't need to go through the whole process. You just add a 0. Okay. Alright? So our yen is 1200. Okay, that would be the same process over again, and I know twice was enough, but you're just adding the 0. Alright? Now for our €250, I'm still going to leave that on the bottom. It doesn't really matter where you leave it, but I just put it in the bottom because I know that it's probably going to be a little bit of an easier number, alright? So we want to transfer the sterling, 0.79 multiplied by 250. Now, these are big numbers to be multiplying, so just make sure that you concentrate all the way down, not like me there where I forgot my 0, so make sure you remember your 0 all the time. 9 zeros is 0, 0, 0, 0. Now I'll put down 0. 5 nines is 45. 5 sevens is 35. 4 is 39. 5 zeros 0 plus 3 is 3. 2 zeros then because we're talking about hundreds. Alright. 2 nines is 18. 2 sevens is 14. 1 is 15. 2 0 0 plus 1 is 1. Okay. This is as hard as it will get now for you. 5, 9 is 17. 5 and 1 is 6. 3 is 9. And 1. Okay. 2 decimal places in our question. 2 in our answer. So for every €250, you'll get 197.50. Okay. Now, I'm going to multiply the next one. And it doesn't matter now which you put on top or which you put on the bottom, just that you have to multiply them out. Alright, so this time I'll put the other one on the bottom just to show you. Alright, 250 multiplied by 1.12. Now, even though I put on in the decimal point there, just forget about it until the very end, alright? Yeah, so 2 zeros 0, 2 fives are 10, 2 2 4 and 1 is 5. Okay. 0, 1 0 is 0, 1 5 is 5, 1 2 is 2. 2 zeros, 1 0 is 0, 1 5 is 5, 1 2 is 2. Add them up. Okay, 2 decimal places in our question, 2 in our answer. So we would get dollars, we would get 280. Now there are 2 zeros after this. You can put in the decimal point 2 zeros if you want, but you don't necessarily have to. Alright, and the last one then, 250 multiplied by 120. 0, 0, 0. Down your 0. 2 5s are 10. 2 2s 4 and 1 is 5. 1 0 0. Oh, forgot to put in my 2 zeros again. So 2 zeros in, then I start. 1 0 0. 1 5 is 5. 1 2 is 2. Okay, add them up. Okay, now I have no decimal points here, and this is where people might say, okay, have it put in a decimal point. There were 0 decimal points in my question, there's none here, and there's none in my €250, so I don't need any here, alright? My yen sign, 30,000 yen. Okay. Okay, I think that is as hard as it will get for us. There's one more little thing that I just want to go through, and then you are done. You are ready to take on the week, alright? Okay, so a nice easy one first. This is where they ask you for the difference in something. So they ask you which is better value, and that's the way it's usually asked. And what they mean by which is better value is if you were to buy the same quantity of something versus a bulk buy, or versus if you buy more you get more money off. What is the difference? Alright, so you know, if you buy your litre carton of milk, if you buy 3 of them, it's actually dearer usually than if you buy the big 3 litre carton of milk. Alright, so what we want to find out here is which one of these is better value. Okay, so the way we will find out this is we have to get them both to get the same capacity or same quantity on this side. So we know 1 litre of milk is €1.30, 3 litres of milk is €3.70. So we will find out, if we were to buy with the cartons of 1 litres, how much would it cost us to buy 3 litres of milk. So what we have to do then is multiply our answer here by 3, okay? And this one is just pretty straightforward, just to show us. So 3 zeros 0, 3 threes is 9, 3 ones is 3. 2 decimal places in our question, 2 in our answer. Okay, so using the €1 cartons, it will cost us $3.90 versus $3.70 if we're using the 3 litre carton. Just to find the difference then, we take away, make sure that your decimal points are in line. Take away, decimal point. Okay, and that's our difference. 20 cents is the difference. Okay. Over this side then, I've done out a little list for a fun fair. Now, the 5th class, in your books, there is a question on the zoo. I think it's the last page. I think you might be doing it on Friday. But this is the type of question where I'm talking about. There's lots of jargon. So write out what all these are. I know this last one is confusing, but write out 1 adult equals whatever amount of money. Child over 11, I think it is in your book, equals how much money. And get rid of all this then. They're talking about 50% off. They're talking about you get something for free. Forget about it. Doesn't matter. All you're worried about is the numbers and figuring out what the answer is by using them numbers. Alright, so what they're telling us is the price for 1 adult is €9. A child over 10 is €5. A child 10 or under is €3.50. And then they have a family ticket which includes 2 adults, 1 child under 10 and 1 child over 10 for a total of €25. And we want to find out which one has the which one is the best value. So we know what the family ticket is. So what we'll do is we'll try and find out what the total is by adding up these then. So we know there are 2 adults here. So I'll just multiply it just to be sure. So 9 multiplied by 2 equals 18. €18. So we have our 2 adults is 18.00. Always use your decimal points and 00 when you're adding up or taking away. Alright. Then we have 1 child under 10, which is the bottom one. So that's €3.50. And 1 child over 10, which is €5. Okay. So 0, 5, decimal point, 5 and 8, and 3 is 8, is 16, 2. Okay, so our total here is $26.50. So we can see that our family one is cheaper. Now I know most of you might see already that $1.50 will be the difference, but I'll just to make sure we always write it out. Okay. 0, 5, 1. Okay, so €1.50 is the difference. Alright. I think that's everything covered for this week. I think we will do very well in this. I know most of us are very good at our multiplying, dividing, adding, subtracting anyway. And some of them is just it's the wording of these questions that is trying to confuse you, alright? So best of luck with it. Again, if you have any questions, pop me an email. And see you soon, guys. Have a good week.